Well, this week it's a joy to have, I was going to say some old friends, and in a sense they are, Dave and Chris Swindells, who I've known for quite some time now in all sorts of different contexts, but they've been part of our church for, well, it goes back actually a long time. Do you remember when you first came to church?
It's Christmas, wasn't it? Christmas Day, because the church we were at the time didn't have a Christmas Day service, and we felt quite strongly about it. So we were looking around, and that's where we made the contact.
Yeah, and I remember because I think I taught you at college, or I'd been one of your lecturers. I taught you sounds too patronising. I stood in front of you for a while in college, and I remember that Christmas morning sort of thinking, gosh, it's great to see you, but and then after a little while you joined in, and it's been brilliant to have you with us. Chris, you're from Scotland. Whereabouts in Scotland are you from originally?
I'm from Greenock, which is on the west coast, just a wee bit away from Glasgow.
Okay, and Dave?
Originally from Salford. So yeah, I have connections through my nan with the church. So yeah.
So your nan came to our church?
Yeah, she was at the church a long time ago when a pastor called Pastor Lambie was there, and she went to Liverpool Road Church when it was first built. I remember that as a child, going in there, going to Sunday school there, and then she passed away, I think, around about 1980.
Okay. So how did you two meet, from Greenock and Salford? What was the connecting point?
Germany. That was the connection.
Go on.
Dave was in the army, and my brother was in the army, and where was it, Nürnberg?
Yep.
And then I went over there to visit my brother, and I went on a night out, and that was it.
And the rest was just history.
That's it. Yeah.
So how long have you been married?
Go on, Dave.
We've been married 32 years.
Yes, well done.
32 years, brilliant.
Yeah.
And how long were you in the army, and what were you doing in the army? What was the...
I was only in for 3 years. It is a time when you could sign up for 3 years as a minimum. I think it's 5 now. So I was in the Royal Engineers, and I'd always said, having moved over to Germany, you could see the impact the army had on married life, especially for young soldiers as well. And so I'd always decided that if I did meet somebody, not realising I would so soon, that I actually wouldn't stay in, because I felt it would be detrimental. And that was it, wasn't it? So, yeah. You'd gone along to church with your gran as a kid, but yeah.
Were you living as a Christian when you were in the army?
No.
Okay. So how did faith become real for you as an adult? What happened?
I'd left the army, and we'd had our first son, David, and Christine had gone to take the dog we had at the time as well. I'd gone to take them out for the dog for a walk with David. He was 3 months, I think, at the time. It was a Sunday, and I was working at IBM in Greenock, and so it's basically break time. Instead of going sitting with the others having a cup of tea, I just sat in this particular cell where we were working on my own, feeling a little bit tired, put my head on my hands, and I remember seeing Christine being buried and all the family being around, and everyone obviously being upset. And then somebody who I was working with just came in and said, "There's a call for you." Not knowing what it was, you need to go straight out to the centre. So I got up, didn't think anything of it, went straight down to the centre, the security centre at the time, and they said, "There's been a call from the police. We think your wife's been involved in an accident." So I phoned the police, and they wouldn't confirm anything, but they told me that the ambulance was on its way to the hospital. And I actually got to the hospital before Christine did. And when the ambulance arrived, it was right. They brought Christine out and David, and they were covered in blood. And so we kind of saw that, didn't we? As we were sort of thinking, what on earth was that about? And it was a point of focus for us that we then decided to go to church. We started with the Catholic Church, which is where Christine was part, or what Christine was part of. but the Catholic Church wouldn't let me take communion. And we weren't too fussed about that. But before becoming a Catholic, we decided, we'll just have a look around. And Christine's brother had left the Catholic Church, went to an Elim church. We went to the Elim church just to see what it was like. And they were ever so friendly, weren't they?
Yeah. And they had a creche.
Yeah.
So that was, no, it wasn't the same.
They were very good with the
children. But they were lovely.
And,
they were really, really welcoming. There was none of, there was nothing. You just walked in every week and they were always really pleased to see you.
Yeah.
So I still was, because I was a Catholic, we still go to church every Sunday. So, and the Sunday morning we would go to Elim, and the Sunday night I'd go to Catholic church. And then it came to a point when, obviously going to confession, he said, you really need to take your husband away. It's not right. And then we just made the decision that actually I don't think that's really what God would want for us. And it wasn't what God would want. So we made the decision just to go to Elim, didn't we? And that was it. So then when we moved down here, that was the first point of call. We looked for an Elim church, and it kind of went on like that.
That's quite a dramatic story about that kind of moment where, and the accident and the sense that you had before. What do you think was going on?
I'm not sure, really. I'm not sure. I mean, we thought long and hard about it, didn't we? And it was really difficult. And even at times now, thinking back to it, it was difficult to understand how on earth would I have that type of vision and, with Christine having this accident at the same time. And was this just a way of God speaking to us? Not that he's encouraged the accident, but in this, was this an opportunity of self-reflection to look at our lifestyles at that time? Because attending the Catholic Church was more of duty, and that was the difference that we saw between going to Mass and going to...
I think the Catholic Church for me was that I was always brought up with a healthy fear of God. Yet when we went to Elim, we experienced Jesus and the love of Jesus, so it was completely different. There was a relationship with Jesus, and then there was a relationship with the fear of God, and that was it.
I think, to be fair, we used to go to a charismatic meeting, and sometimes some of the priests would be at those meetings. They were always on site, never in the main building. But I saw in those people what I see in people who have a real faith today. So I'm not questioning whether or not people can be a Christian and be Catholic. That, in my own opinion, I think they can. And that's my personal opinion from what I saw in them. But going to church was a duty. And you didn't feel connected, and you didn't feel loved, and certainly didn't feel like it was a part of a community. It was more of everyone attended, everybody left. And so we felt that connection when we went to Elim, didn't we?
Yeah.
You mentioned, you talked about David, who was just at that time 3 months old, and David is now...
Go on. 31.
Yes, he's 31, just.
31. And he has a child of his own?
Yeah, he does.
Ross does as well. So your grandparents, and you're also, your own parents are still with you, but kind of, they have all the challenges that come with older age. What have you come to appreciate about God as a parent of adult children and now grandchildren, as well as caring for your own parents? How does faith interlock with those contexts?
I think over the last few years with the boys and their partners, it's just been great to see and be able to talk to them about how they've seen what God's done in our life, and actually they see every day through our jobs or whatever happens, what God's doing. So they can actually see it working, and so then when you've got the opportunity to talk to them about, all right, we'll pray about this, or they'll say, will you pray about this, and different things like that, really, isn't it? That it's been good. It's been great for us to see them, especially going and getting baptised. It's their choice, isn't it? Because there's that time where you've just got to sort of let go. And actually, it's the same with your parents, really. It's their relationship with God. But if they can see God working in our lives, or letting people, you know, or the people that they meet in church or just around us. So I think it's been like that, hasn't it?
I think there's the joy in seeing God through your own children, and seeing them turn to God when times are difficult. And I think that's reflected for us in our parents being older, knowing that God's strength is there, and seeing the connection from us being younger Christians at the time, through having to lean on God at different times, and now seeing that strength in God still being there through the challenges that we have with our parents as well. So I think God being central, because I often look at our family and just think, you know, if God hadn't been central in the family, what would the lads have turned out like? And I think in terms of values and morals, I think they would have been very different. And I think for them, they see God at work in us, which is important. And so that makes it much more easy for them to make that connection.
You're both teachers, and so this is a strange old time for you right now, with children being in and out of school, and some kids not being in, many kids not being in. What's been the joys of lockdown? And what's been the challenge?
Ooh, what's been the joys?
I think for me, life has slowed down massively, and I think maybe a lot of people would say that. But life has slowed down, and the pressure of work, of marking being in, and everything being compressed. And obviously your day's organised and everything goes at a pace. And it's been really nice. And it's come in the wrong context, unfortunately, but it's been really nice to be taken away from that. The challenges is that I use a laptop from school, and it's as slow as anything, unfortunately. And the challenges is typing something and waiting 5 minutes for that to appear before I can carry on.
How about you, Chris? What's been the joy and the challenge?
The joys, I've loved the slow pace. I've loved the slowness in everybody else's lives. I've really enjoyed that. The joys, unfortunately, like what we were saying about the circumstances, it's definitely been people at work, because I was only there about 2 weeks before lockdown came in, so I don't know anybody. But this is a great way to get to know everybody. So I've loved that. I've loved seeing how other communities have been working, because I've been in school like maybe 3 or 4 days a week. What other joy? Oh, my neighbours. I spend time with my neighbour at 3 o'clock every day. And when I'm in school, she says to me, "Oh, I was a bit lonely because you weren't there." So there's that. There's loads of things, isn't there? Just, I think it's slow pace. The challenges are, I don't really know. The challenges have definitely been not being able to be with anybody. I find that hard just now.
Yeah. The other challenge is we have a son who's also on lockdown who lives with us, who commandeered the room upstairs with the desk and all the computers, and he's having the life of Riley up there.
In his little office.
So, yeah.
And maybe I'll interview Cameron and we'll see what he feels is the joy and the challenge. How could we pray for you in these days?
I think for going back to school, because our lovely Boris has announced when we're all going back, and I think there's lots of things that come out of that. It's whether people feel safe, whether what the children going to feel, what the staff going to feel. Is it too early? Is it not too early? And then
you're anxious about it, aren't you?
Oh, I am anxious.
So with working with children so small, obviously it's very difficult to maintain social distancing, and it's working all that through. And so it's having a peace of mind that you know that's in hand. I'm less concerned about the social contact. but more about just having to fall back into that pressurized system again. So yeah, I think it would be, for me, it would be workload, definitely. And for you, it's about just the anxiety, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just the thing, same as a lot of people are thinking, how's it all going to work out? Will it be safe? Does it still stops you from going and seeing people?
Yeah.
And that's for me the issue of it. Actually, would I then pass it on to somebody? Because I've got a greater risk. But no greater risk than any other people that are working in that environment as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thanks ever so much for both of you being willing just to chat to us about yourself and about that. And I think the prayers that you kind of ask for are the prayers that many of us would want to say. And I think the joys and the challenges are probably very similar as well. So thanks for your time. Thanks for us allowing to get so close to Dave's knees. I don't think many of us would have been close to Dave's legs before. And blessings on you as you go through these next few weeks. Thanks ever so much.
All right.